Good morning, everyone. John Goodhouse here, Tiger Council President, on a wonderful morning, rainy, a little humid outside. And it was early, so this is a different time than we're normally doing this. So we'll see how many people come on, jump on, and check this out. People that do come on can ask questions in the comment line. We have Kent White, our communication. What's your title? Communication manager. That's going to be giving me those questions. We take a look at that. Wait for a moment for people to jump on and ask questions, and I'll kind of talk about little things that are going on in the city. We're the focus on this is the upcoming police levy, and a lot of people probably already received the voters pamphlets. Those came in the mail throughout the week. I think yesterday was the last kind of day that most people in Tiger got those voters pamphlets. And Kent Wyatt will also go ahead and post that in the link in the comments section if people want to take a look at the voters pamphlet and look in there and see what's coming up. There's a lot going on. There's the police service levy. There's races going on. There's I think Metro's got a few things. So there's plenty of items on the voters pamphlet. The big thing we're looking at here in City of Tiger is a police service levy that we're looking for 8 additional officers for patrolling the city. Currently, right now, we have 5 patrol districts, and at any time we have 3 or 4 officers patrolling those districts. So right now, we're really looking to get additional officers, especially in these times right now. If there's happens to be any kind of a emergency, crisis, call, or anything like that, we don't have enough officers to respond to 2 calls at the same time. We're also looking at hiring an additional school resource officer. And right now school's out, but when school starts back up the following year, we're looking to have an additional school resource officer. Right now we have 1 officer at the high school and another officer splits between the 2 middle schools. So with adding an additional school resource officer, we would be able to have 1 at the high school and 1 at each middle school, and those feeder schools for the elementary schools, be able to have that school resource officer there as well. And a big portion of the levy is going to be for mental health and de-escalation training. Our officers, a lot more of the calls they're responding to nowadays are more in-depth calls. The calls that used to be kind of a pretty simple, what would be a robbery, an assault, a break-in, something like that. Now we're getting more in-depth calls for our police officers where they need more additional training. They need to be able to ascertain the situation, figure out what's going on, have those extra skills. And currently right now, we only have a handful of officers that have trained in that field. And with the passage of this, we'll be able to get all of our sworn officers the training for mental health and de-escalation training, which would be valuable. And as I mentioned, the voters pamphlets have already come out this week. Kent Wyatt's going to post a link, and there's also a link to the city's website where you can learn more about the upcoming levy, what's on it. There's a lot of questions on there that people have asked, and if anyone has any additional questions, we'll put those on there as well or respond to them. People can type those into the comment section right now. We can answer those and make sure we get those on the website as well. And also, someone's aware the ballots will be coming out on April 29th. And this will be the first time in Oregon that you don't have to go ahead and put a stamp on your ballot. You can actually drop those in the mail, and it's the state of Oregon's paying for that postage. We also you still have the deadlines where it hits a point where you have to drop those mails in the ballot box locally near you. So that's something that still is there, but we'll see how that makes a difference if a lot more people vote or not with the not having to pay for postage. What's the question?
Can you do anything to help with the unemployment situation? Been waiting over 4 weeks and cannot reach anyone.
So a question is, can you do anything to help with the unemployment situation? Been waiting over 4 weeks and cannot reach anyone. Another role I do with the city, not only with being a city council president, I'm also work a lot with the League of Oregon Cities and the National League of Cities. So I've been on a lot of calls throughout the week with the governor of the employment department, and that's one of the big questions that keeps coming up, and we keep putting pressure on the governor to speed it along. As it was described, the system's antiquated. I guess it's a 6-year-old system, and they're working overtime working on it, but we're putting pressure on it from the state level and local officials to get that done quicker. That's something I've heard a lot, and I like to still keep seeing these comments because I can go back and say that we're hearing from many people that this is not these aren't being taken care of, and I'll continue to work and try to push to see what we can do as a city to get that done quicker. Understand with people that are laid off or temporarily laid off from work, that's too long of a period, and a lot of people don't know what's going on. So we'll see as more of a city what we can do. It'd be great too if we could, what I always recommend people as well to do is we have an email that goes to all of council. If we can have people email in there that we're still hearing these questions, or we have residents who are having these problems, we can always pass those on to our state officials to say that we're still having problems as far as people not getting their benefits. And Kent will go ahead and share that email address in there. And that email address also goes to all the council, the mayor, the city manager. So it's a great way if there's anything going on in the city, any questions or anything you need to go ahead and have taken care of, to go do that as well. And also, last call I did as well, I put my personal cell phone in there and my city email. Kent will post that as well. And please feel free anytime to give me a call on my personal cell phone or my city email to talk in more in depth about what's going on, what needs you see, whether or not it's with unemployment, whether or not it's with businesses, anything business related, anything to do with the city or anything else going like that. I'd love to hear from people and do what I can to help people out with that. Do we have any additional questions that popped up yet?
What will the police levy be used for?
And so a recap on the police levy. What will the police levy be used for? It's going to be hiring 8 additional officers. We've stayed at the same levels for the last about 10 plus years. We've had an increase in population, and we have had an increase of population while the police level stayed the same. The reason why we're in this situation is back in the 90s, we had Measure 5 and 50 pass, and Tiger got locked into a low tax rate. So we've tried to do the best we can to stay within our spending limits. But the city keeps growing and growing, and we don't have enough officers to patrol the area. So that extra 8 officers is going to be something definitely needed for our residents and to patrol the areas for businesses, neighborhoods, keep everyone safe, and make sure we can handle multiple calls at the same time, or even properly respond to a call. There's been situations where if an officer has to reply to a domestic violence call, and if someone escapes on foot, we don't have enough officers to really contain the field to keep that, to actually apprehend that person. And there's been situations where we've had to let someone go because we don't have enough officers to safely contain the area and to go ahead and apprehend that criminal. And so we need more officers to take care of that. We need an extra school resource officer in the schools. And the biggest part is this mental health and de-escalation training to be able to interact with all the different calls we do, handle them in a proper way. With the mental health crisis, we need officers that are trained in skills in that so they can handle those calls in a proper way so it doesn't lead to a situation that gets out of hand. Is there anything that popped up?
Why was the local option levy referred to the voters?
Why was the local option levy referred to the voters? I'm a huge proponent and believe strongly that in transparency and really talking about what needs to be done, I feel this is an important matter that really should have gone out to the voters. The best way to really engage the community is to put something on the ballot. That way everyone can ask questions about it, talk about it, understand why the need's there and what it's done. There's some things in the city that the council will go ahead and pass and work on its own. And there's other areas that we refer to the voters. And we really felt strongly as a council that this is something that should go to the voters to go ahead and discuss, have them pass and decide that is an important need in the city to have more officers patrolling the streets, responding there, that we want an extra school resource officer, and that residents want their police force trained in mental health and de-escalation training.
The levy passes, how much would property tax is increased?
If the levy passes, what would it do to the average homeowner in Tigard? It would be an extra 29 cents per assessed thousand. And there's a difference between what the value of your home is if you were to sell it on the market and the assessed value. But when you look at your property taxes, there would be assessed value, usually about 60% less than the value of what your home could sell on the market. And we did calculations, and it's going to be about $6 a month for the average homeowner. And one thing I like to point out is that if this passes, this won't go into effect till the end of the year. I've seen some comments last couple of weeks or month that people said during this time a lot of people are unemployed, people aren't working. Why put this levy out right now? It was referred at the beginning of the year before any of this happened, so it's something we couldn't pull off the ballot, and it's something that won't go into effect until the end of the year. So hopefully by then people are back to work and people aren't feeling the pinch. But when it comes to public safety, it really makes a huge difference in the area as far as what property value is, quality of life, safety. We have a great community that's walkable, that uses a lot of the trails, gets out to the parks, frequents a lot of businesses. We have Washington Square, that when that back opens, a lot of people frequent there. We have a commercial crimes unit that works diligently day in, day out with Washington Square, Home Depot, a lot of places to cut back on a lot of commercial crimes of people stealing, or there's some pretty intricate criminal processes that go on of people being able to do scams, whether it be from Apple phones or doing return things with Home Depot. Our commercial crimes unit does a great job of monitoring, taking care of, and so we just really it's something that the community needs, and we feel that we did a package that was reasonable at $6 a month for the average homeowner that people could afford. And I can't emphasize enough that this is something that won't go into effect till the end of the year. So that's why hopefully by then we'll be at least a little bit more on track. People will be back to work, and everything will be back and open.
What would happen if the levy doesn't pass?
If the levy doesn't pass, we're going to have to take a look at what we can do, or we might have to just continue with business as usual and work with less. Our officers have been doing it. They'll continue to serve the public and service the city of Tigard, but we'll do it with what we have and with less officers as the population grows and as there's more of a need. It might be something that might come back again when we're not during a pandemic. It might come back, the following year and go back to voters again. After we'll just see that with reduction of police officers. But if it doesn't pass, we'll have to come across that bridge when it comes there and see what we hear from people, why they didn't vote for it or why they felt there wasn't a need. The biggest reason, and there was a question asked earlier, why is this put on the ballot and why is it put on the voters, is when we talk to people, a lot of people will ask, why do we need more officers? Don't we have enough? There was a couple months back, we did the State of the City, where the mayor did a community event. He went out and talked to residents, and he asked, how many officers do you think are on at any one time? And the range varied from, people said the lowest was 15 officers patrolling the city of Tigard at any one time, up to 100 officers. So there's a perception out there that we have 15 to 100 officers out there patrolling the city of Tigard every day at any time. And when in reality, we only have 3 to 4 officers patrolling the city of Tigard in an area that goes all the way up from out to Beef Bend, up to Shoals Ferry, all the way down to Tigard High, out to Fred Meyer's. We have a huge area for those officers, and if it happens to be where an officer's up around the Beef Bend area and has to respond to over by Fred Meyer's or down by Tigard High, that can take 5 or 8 minutes on a good day, not alone with traffic. So we need to have more officers in communities patrolling the neighborhoods, not just the main streets, patrolling the neighborhoods, getting out there and being seen, be involved. The biggest way to deter crime is to see those officers out there day in, day out in areas, not just having them respond from one call to another call. The other thing is the officers, they work those long shifts, and if they're constantly going from one extreme call to another extreme call, that puts really a weight on those officers to be able to go ahead and go from one call to your call, or not giving them time to have a day off or have a break between those calls. So if they go from a domestic violence to a break-in to a robbery to a car theft, they're just going from call to call to call without even a time for at least having a 5 minutes for their downtime to go to the next call, or to go through neighborhoods and just do patrolling so they can be seen, so it deters criminals.
Can you address the arguments in opposition to the levy?
I saw it with the voters pamphlet. The question was, can you address the arguments in opposition to the measure? And I saw the voters pamphlet, and there were some arguments in there. There was a couple different statements that were written in the opposition. One of them is that we convened a levy and bond task force to take a look at whether there was a need or not for it. And they came back to council, and they recommended not at that moment to do it. And they said wait till later because they felt like there was more education that was needed for the residents. And but they also, at the end of their statement when we met with council, said that they also were in favor of whatever council did, and they were in favor of the measure. They just felt there needed to be more education. And so there was a statement in there that the bond and levy task force didn't agree with it. There was actually, what I saw, it looked like in favor of it. There was members from that levy and bond task force that did do a voter statement in favor of it, and that's why the council felt like putting this on the ballot, because the best way I feel to educate people is to put something on a ballot, make it a levy measure, and get people more involved. That's the best way, I think, to have people aware of it, talk about it, and educated about it. A couple other ones is that the city has a lot of extra money, which isn't true. There's many different parts of this city's budget that's earmarked for a lot of parts. So if you were to take a look at it, the general fund comes from property taxes, and we have that part that goes in there that has to pay for the majority of the city. But we also have enterprise funds where we have money that's collected for water projects. And so there is a big balance in there that goes towards future projects where we have to build reservoirs, we have to maintain the pipes, we have to work on the water treatment plant. So there is money in there that's dedicated to those areas that's collected that is prudent, where rather than waiting down the road if something fails with the water treatment plant, or if we need to fix a reservoir, we have that money in there to pay for all those. But those are separate. Those are collected from water rates, and they go from that area. Another part was, do we need these or not, or why did we pick the amount? We did actually have about a year and a half ago, we had a levy that we put on the ballot that didn't pass, and we had a lot of people feel, well, where did we come up with the number, and does the city really need this? And what we learned from that was that we needed to have a third-party performance audit. So we did hire a third party that provided a performance audit, and them on their own, they came back and said that we needed 8 additional patrol officers, that we needed a school resource officer. And so those numbers weren't just something that we pulled out of thin air or said we needed or took a guess. Those actually numbers came from a third-party consulting firm that said we needed those numbers. I think the main part, though, is just saying where's the money, or why we waited. There's no questions why we waited so long with the limited officers. And the problem is there's so many needs in the city, we've had to decide which areas we go ahead and take care of and which areas we can't take care of. And so we've kind of let go on the side with the officers and not continue to hire more officers. And we've hit a point where we can't. And if you look at, I had one person I sat down with a couple weeks ago that said, well, why are we doing this levy compared to other cities that have, they pay for the fire department, they pay for the police. We're the only city in the area that doesn't have an additional levy as part of their property taxes that pays for either fire or parks or for police. And all the other cities around us do have levies that pay for those police officers. So we've able to do more with less, with having the lowest tax rate in the area. We've been able to keep our police force while also maintaining at least a good safety in the area. But we've hit a point where we can't keep up with that anymore, and we have to put a levy on there at least to balance out some of the money that we're not capturing to pay for those officers. The question is, how long will it take to hire 8 more officers? That's one of the tricky things is when this passes, 8 officers won't just be hired right away. It takes, and I don't know the exact numbers, but we have to first go through the application process, hire the officers. Well, the chief does. And then once they get hired, they have to go through the police academy. Then they have to shadow with an officer. So it usually is a ramp-up period of about a 6 months to a year process of getting officers hired, getting them through the academy, and then get going. And it's just also the availability of people that we're hiring and so forth. So it does take a while, but I don't know the exact time frame. It's something that we could follow up again with the chief. There is, Kent here is looking at the comments, and he can post. There's going to be a conversation with the chief coming up, and I think that's next week on
May 6th.
May 6th. It's coming up on May 6th. There's going to be a conversation chat with the chief of police in Tigard, and that'd be a great question to ask her to talk about what the process is of hiring, how long she thinks it's going to take to get the 8 officers up and going.
Another question, what was the council discussion on Tuesday night about additional programs for those in need during
the question is, what was the conversation this past Tuesday with the council as far as additional resources for COVID-19? As a lot of people may or may not be aware of, we did do a Tiger Cares package for a lot of the business owners in Tigard. We also had a RAFT program, which is a residential aid fund for nonprofits to help people that either are homeless or need hotel vouchers, those extra services. A lot of the nonprofits that deal with that, I've talked to them, and this last week they see a spike of people that need assistance with their utility bills or for the rent or things like that. So we did that program. Another thing we took a look at was, and there was the unemployment question that was asked, is those that are unemployment in Tigard, we passed and we decided that we'll waive the base water fee for those people that are unemployment. All they have to do is just submit documentation that shows they filed for or are on unemployment. And the biggest part, I think, is that with the question is, well, someone filed for unemployment but hasn't received or heard anything yet. So if you even just submit that form that you applied for it and that you're currently unemployed, then we'll waive the base water charge. I think it's a month by month until you're back to work. We're looking also, and as I mentioned earlier, I had Kent post my information in the council email. We're always looking for suggestions too of what we can do to help either residents or businesses. A couple of things I suggested is maybe being creative with businesses and postponing business license renewals. And because there's a lot of businesses that are open, so it seems to me that why would a business owner, they're already trying to stretch what they can to pay their rent or so forth. Why have them pay that business license fee? But also something where the city we don't have unlimited funds to keep paying for everything or waiving everything. But looking at doing a delay of maybe 6 months on business licenses, or also looking at businesses that are closed, like bars or a lot of restaurants. Looking at waiving their base water fee charge as well. And we're all looking for suggestions from people on anything that may or may not work when it comes to businesses, or what we can also do to help our residents during this time. We're open to all kinds of suggestions, what we can do, what we can offer, what services we can help, or even just with questions. That way we can point you in the right direction as far as who we can take care of or who can help out with your situation. There was a question: will the federal government provide funding for local governments because of COVID? Recently, last week, a lot of people might have seen that the federal government passed in their stimulus package for businesses to extend more money for the Paycheck Protection Program or for businesses. One of the asks that were in that were for money for local governments. There was money that was passed for cities that have populations of 500,000 or more. But there wasn't anything below that. And in the United States, there's about, I think, between 19 to 36 cities that are 500,000 above. So that money isn't really helping the local cities. And in Tigard, we're seeing a little bit, but we're going to start seeing more with our street maintenance or taking care of our roads. A lot of that money comes from gas tax. So with people being home and not driving, we're having less money that's going to go to repair roads. Granted, there is going to be less wear and tear, but there's parts that have to still be maintained and kept up, or projects that need to be worked on that money comes from. What can we as individual community members do to help during the stay-home order? As far as helping in what matter, there's I think staying apprised of what's going on with the programs in Tigard. There's always ways to go ahead and share what we're doing. One of the biggest things I hear from people is they're not aware of either the upcoming levy or items going on at Tigard. The biggest thing that people can do is share when they see something on the city's website, they see something on the city's social media, is share it with their friends and family, whether they email it, they text it, they copy and paste it, any of those items, share it with people you know. Like as I mentioned, talking to a lot of people, they don't know what's going on. They might get the cityscape, but right now there's so much stuff going on that I've heard that businesses need to, if they have social media, they need to post 2 or 3 times as much as they normally do. Or if they have newsletters, that newsletters need to come out 2 or 3 times more than they normally do. But the biggest way, too, is just to let us know what we may be missing, what things we can work on. feedback is the best that we can really ask from people, is to hear from you what we may be missing, what we need to do, anything that's seen out there. Excuse me. I think another great way that community members can help out is just to really support your local businesses. Either if you feel comfortable going out to a business and pulling up and ordering food. I know a lot of the businesses have changed downtown Tigard or areas where they do curbside pickup. DoorDash has been doing great as far as people ordering services. I think the biggest thing you do for the community is to support the community. Either share what businesses are doing, order from DoorDash, go to a business and have them bring a cup of coffee out to your car, have them get a sandwich, buy gift cards, and just also be vigilant in your neighborhood and in your communities. With a lot less eyes out there and people working or driving around, there has been an uptick with graffiti or break-ins or crimes. So really just being, when you're walking through your neighborhoods, keep an eye out of what's going on through your neighborhoods. Continue to get out there and walk around to deter criminals. Walk around your downtown businesses if you get out there, of course with social distancing and wearing protective face masks. But the best part is just really to stay in touch with everyone, stay connected is the biggest part. There's a question, what's the latest on the Tigard Cares program? Were grants awarded? Will there be more? I'll have Kent post a link to the Tigard Cares program. You can jump on there and see. There's a couple examples of who the grants have gone out to, who's been worked on. As more and more comes out, we're going to post more about the who received the funds, where they went, and will there be more? That's something that the council talked about last Tuesday night, was about whether or not we're going to look at giving more money now, or if we look at creative ways of things of like deferring business license renewals, or waiving the base water charges for businesses that are closed. And we're also looking for other suggestions of things that we could do, maybe that would be looking at for deferring costs or deferring things. We have to look in the city too, as far as if there was any increases or anything like that, to put pause on some of the increases and wait 6 months until things are back to normal. So we're looking at what we can to either put pause on some of the things or defer any of the bills to businesses. So how much will the question is, how much will the existing urban renewal zones contribute if a levy passes? So urban renewal zones, kind of a quick breakdown on how it works. We have two urban renewal zones in Tigard. We have the downtown Tigard and we have the Triangle. And the Triangle is 99W, 217, and I-5. And that's the urban renewal district called the Tigard Triangle. And how an urban renewal zone works is, once that's passed, you take all those existing property taxes and you put a freeze on what the existing amounts are, and those existing amounts still keep going to the city, the school district, to TVFNR for fire, all those areas. Anything that increases up above that amount goes back into the district. And usually the reason why urban renewal zone is created is it's an area that's either blighted or underdeveloped, and it's meant to increase that. So that whole point is that money goes back into that district to take care of it. For example, in the Tigard Triangle, there's a lot of the water treatment, there's sewer, there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be redone. And we either look at, is it something that we increase all the fees across the city of Tigard to bring that area back up to where it needs to be, or do we do an urban renewal zone? So that the thing with the urban renewal money is it has to be used back in the district. We have a lot of things where with that we have street maintenance, we have gas tax. They all have we call buckets of money or color of money. They can only be used for what they are collected for. So the urban renewal zones, that money can only be used back into the urban renewal district. And so that's something that it won't go, that additional money that's being collected won't go to the levy. But the existing taxes that before it got when they got frozen, that money from those property taxes will go towards the levy, and either those landowners or those building owners. So businesses like Walmart, Costco, Winco, Landmark Ford. I'm trying to think of a lot of the big businesses that are in the area. Fred Meyer falls into that district as well. Those ones will pay into the levy. But anything new that's built, those won't. So if there's any bare land out there and a new building is built, that money won't go to the levy, except for the only part that will is what the value of that land was and what the taxes were on that part. The next question is the Southwest Corridor project still going to happen? The planning, the discussions are still going on. We had a council meeting last Tuesday where we had a presentation on what's going to look like with the Southwest Corridor, what the station's going to look like around Hall and through Tigard. And that's something, if you go online, and I can have Kent share as well, a link to the council. All of our council meetings have been recorded and have been available online, and now they're going completely digital, where we're doing it from remotely, all the council meetings. But you can go back and watch any of the council meetings. There's a link on there where you can go and look at each one and click on it. And so if people want to go back and watch that, or even what we discuss about for businesses or what we're going to do for citizens, if they want to go back and take a look at that, there's that option. The big part that's going to happen, and it was discussed on Tuesday night with the Southwest Corridor, is a big part of it is going to be the funding that they were proposing. Metro was proposing in November of putting out a ballot measure called Get Moving 2020, or T2020, was going to be the funding for half of that for the light rail, the Southwest Corridor. The question is, will that still be on the ballot then, or will they maybe move it? But that's going to be a big portion of what determines whether or not that's going to happen. But as far as moving forward, there's still no talks of not stopping the project. The project's still going forward. The planning's still happening. It's just what's going to happen in the change of that, whether that funding happens on that date or later on. The next question: has there been an increase in crime in the last few weeks? The chief every month gives the council report, and we have seen from March through the beginning of April compared to last year, we've had about a 60 to 70% increase in assaults, in crimes, in-person crimes. And from the chief's report, portion of that is from COVID, but also that portion of that's just increase in those areas as well. So there has been an increase in crime. I don't know if we have a link or anything to the chief's report or anything like that. I'll take a look and see if there's any link to the chief's report that shows those numbers. We are looking at getting those numbers out too as well, to just show what the increase is and whether or not it's related to COVID or not. One of my fears, though, with having less officers and running this levy is really letting the surrounding area know that we will have less officers. And my concern about that is if more people hear about less officers or less ability, does that mean that more people are going to come here and commit crimes? But there definitely has been an increase. Also, part of it, there has been a lot more increase in domestic violence. I've been hearing from a lot of downtown Tigard businesses, that there's been more graffiti going on down there. Throughout the area, there has been some more break-ins to businesses just because there hasn't been as many people on the road, people in businesses. So there's been more break-ins, more vandalism, things like that. So that's something where, as community members, just to keep an eye on it. If you see something going on, call in, report it to the police, or just having eyes out there on the street. The next question is, will the city be reducing its budget for the next year? So we're currently in the budget, coming up in the budget cycle. We're going to be, we're going to be working on the budget in May. So currently the city manager is taking a look at our budget and making any changes or adjustments to this. There was a proposed budget she was working on, and we have to go back and take a look at that. Those budget meetings we do have, and Kent can post that. There's going to be opportunities for citizens, if they want, to submit input, go to virtual meetings to learn about what's in the budget, talk about it, get a whole budget, proposed budget to go over and review. So anyone that has questions or input on that, please do get involved with the budget process, submit questions, review it. We'd love to hear what people's thoughts and comments are on the budget or any suggestions. Is the Tigard Street Heritage Trail complete? So the Heritage Trail starts at Symposium Coffee in downtown Tigard on Main Street, and we have the Rotary Plaza that starts the whole process. And we have if people haven't been down there and feel like walking, the plaza area, there's been a lot of people using that trail or that plaza. They've been doing great social distancing, and we've also installed 2 restrooms down there as well. And the trail does have markers along the way that gives a history of Tigard and what's going on. And I think almost all of it's completed. I don't know if there's any lighting that needs to be going in. There was one part that's delayed where it's called Rotary Plaza, and there's going to be a rotary clock that's installed, and that's been delayed. But I think the majority of it's done. Get out there and walk the trail on a nice day, even a day like this. Take a look at all the different parts of it. There's markers that give the history of Tigard, what's happened, what's happened in the past. A lot of people might not realize that Tigard used to be called Tigerville, and it was a spot where there was a railroad came through, and actually at that point around Symposium is where the two railroad tracks came across the country and met, and there's a what's called the golden spike of where that was done. So I think there's a lot of information on there as well as what that was and what was going on. The next question, when will the city reopen? That's going to be, it's ever changing, just hour to hour, day to day, week to week. I've been in calls with the governor, and she's made a proposal plan where there's three phases of the reopening process. There's going to be in beginning of May, the middle of May, different phases of different businesses that can slowly start reopening. I think once we hit a point where we feel that it's safe for workers to come back. One thing though is the city is open, so a lot of people might go by city hall and see there's not people there working or not, but everyone is working remotely. The city is still working, open and functional. There's a lot of areas with police, with a permitting section. Our public works is out there maintaining the streets, taking care of it. Everyone's still working remotely. I think we've had to, just with some of the work going by the wayside, I think we've had to lay off, I don't know, Ken, if you know the number. I think we've had to lay off maybe 22
on call from the library and recreation on call.
So we had a layoff on call either from recreation or the library, 22 employees. So there has been a reduction in that. The one area that isn't open is the library. You can still go on the library and check out books digitally. That's still a feature, but the library itself has been closed just because with the COVID, with books, that's one of the easiest ways. If something on the surface, if you have a book checked in and recheck it out, just being safe for the public, we're not sure, the best way, or if we even could disinfect those to get them out. So we have a reduction, but the rest of the city is open and working. We're always taking comments. We're still responding to emails. We're still having council meetings. We're reducing how many meetings we have. We're just trying to do the priority things right now, because the big part of council meetings, we like to have the public involved, people coming to the meetings and getting feedback. And we're not really able to, in this current age right now, get as much public feedback on those. Next question, has photo traffic enforcement started? So yes, we have red light cameras that were installed in Tigard, and there's three of them. There's one at the 99W and 72nd by Fred Meyers. There's one at Hall and 99W by the car lot there. You have Joann's Fabric, and the other one's down by Durham and 99W, kind of by the Planet Fitness and the little strip mall down there. And those became effective, went on a couple months ago. There was a little hiccup as far as they came on and they went back off, but they are fully effective, going on right now. And the traffic enforcement has started. I did see a question on social media. Someone asked about why are we going out for a safety levy if the city has this money to spend on putting equipment up for the photo enforcement. The city didn't put the money in to pay for that. That's something that was paid for by the companies that monitor that and use it. And the fees from the photo red light do pay for that equipment. So that's something that is not a city expense. It's something that we did a contract and a partnership with the company that put this in and monitors those red light tickets. Next question, has the city received any federal grants in the last few years? The city of Tigard, we get lots of grants, whether or not it be from state or federal level. We get a community development block grants that go to projects either in lower income areas, part of Tigard, that works on city for sidewalks, that works for that help with our nonprofits. We do get projects for trails and streets. We've gotten money to do the Fountain Creek Trail. I think we've got a portion of either state funding for the Heritage Trail and the Rotary Plaza. We also have off of Hunziker, which is between Hall and 72nd. There's the whole hillside. We got a lot of federal money to redevelop that area, which there's going to be the upper part's going to be housing, the lower part it's going to be commercial office buildings. I'm trying to think. We've got money for 99W, but that's through Department of Transportation. So that's managed by ODOT. We're looking at trying to get funding for Hall Boulevard, which a lot of people do not realize that the city doesn't own or maintain. That's actually a state highway that's managed by ODOT, the Department of Transportation. I think we've gotten some money to work on parts of Bull Mountain, Hunziker as well. So the city does receive federal grants on a regular basis. We apply for anything that's available. There's a question, what's the latest on the census? So a lot of people right now, it's important to remember there is a census going on that people either have got it mailed, you can do it online. One of the big parts is the census workers used to knock on the doors. But now currently they're not knocking on doors, they're not getting out there. There used to be there's talks about us trying to do events for people to come fill out their census. We're not able to do that, but the census is still going on. And if you haven't, please make sure you go ahead and fill out your census, either online. Kent can also post a link there as far as if people haven't, jump online today, fill out the census. The reason why the census is so important, it kind of goes back to that last question, is has the city received any federal grants, any money? The way that the city gets money and allocated either money through federal grants or community development block grants is based on the number of residents. So the more residents we have, the more people are counted, the more money we're going to get from federal government and for those services, whether or not community development block grants, money for roads, for projects, for trails, everything like that. So that's important. So please remember, and also share on social media or share with your friends and family to make sure that they fill out the census report. See if there's any other questions.
How have you personally been impacted by COVID-19?
Question is, how have I been personally impacted by COVID-19? I think the impact on me is as with everyone is just adjusting to the new times as far as social distancing. The biggest part with me is how to really interact with the community, how to really hear from everyone. The best part I really like is those face-to-face interactions, getting out there, whether or not it be council meetings, people coming, going to events, being invited to neighborhood picnics, events. That's the biggest part I really miss out on is how to really engage people face-to-face, hear what's going on in Tigard, what needs are. We've tried to do more of these events where we're doing things online and get people's input. The other part is really with COVID-19 is just really to is every day hearing the stories, as someone mentioned earlier, is someone not 4 weeks they filed for unemployment, not getting it, and what's really personally impacted me is I've been spending hours and hours either working on the state level or federal level on conference calls with the whether or not the employment department, the governor, the governor's office, our local officials, our federal officials, really asking them and trying to get them to speed up the process and take care of everyone. There seems like there's not enough hours in the day or enough voices, but that's where I feel every day what more I can do or what can be done to make sure that everyone gets the benefits, they get the help, and everything like that. And I want to hear what might be missing, what we haven't done or what we need to do. A question is, how will revenue be impacted by COVID-19? We're currently looking at that right now as far as how that's going to affect the city of Tigard with the revenue. One of the big areas that's happening right now is gas tax. The gas tax pays for street maintenance, for projects, and we've had projects that we've done that we have debt we're paying on that's paid for by the gas tax. So one of the big areas we see so far is the reduction in gas tax. The one thing, at least in Oregon, is we get a lot of money from the property taxes. So we're going to have to see how that goes and what will happen in reduction of, if there's any reduction in property taxes or property values or people paying their property taxes. The other part is we mentioned earlier that we're looking at with people that are unemployed, we're going to waive their base water fees. And so that's going to be an impact to the water fund. To do the Tiger Cares program and the residential aid fund for Tigard, we did take some money from reserves to help out with those areas as well. So as it comes on and as we're looking, the biggest part as far as the revenue is to, Kenton had posted earlier the link to our budget process. And so we're still figuring out what we're going to do, and through the budget meetings we're going to talk about what impact it's going to be we can see and what we're going to do and how we're going to have to change our budget. And since that's going to be done through digitally, everyone can either join and watch it, or there's going to be a couple of different sessions beforehand for people to find out what's in the budget, what's changed, what's going on, and ask our finance director, Toby LaFrance. There's going to be meetings with him that people can ask what effects there are, what city's going to do, and there's going to be a lot of those. And I think we have those meetings already scheduled. Kent, if Kent wants to post those upcoming meetings with Toby LaFrance, our finance director, for people to be able to join those. They can all be done remotely like this, and ask him questions as far as what's been affected, what's the city going to do, and what how this impact will be in the future. The biggest part is the unknown that everyone doesn't know is how long is this going to go on. I think the longer it goes on, the more effect it's going to have, and that's why part we're trying to do too is I've been trying to really hard with the National League of Cities is to lobby our federal government to provide funds to local cities. Cities 500,000 or more population in COVID-3, which is the funding package COVID-3, they got money, but that's only about 19 to 36 cities in the United States are 500,000 above. It's the rural communities, it's the small cities, it's the suburb communities that's really being hit hard by this. The question is Tiger targeting more assistance during this time to vulnerable populations, older, disabled, low-income families, etc.? If so, one of the things we did at the last council meeting is anyone that's unemployed can submit that to for the utility bill and have their base water charge waived. We are also looking at any suggestions. So if there's anything that people feel that we may want to take a look at or ways we can help, part of it is we're looking at ways that the city has limited money, so there's resources maybe we can apply to it, but maybe there's creative suggestions where if we waive something for a couple months, or if we defer it, or if we take for 6 months and defer someone's payments, and then we just slowly tack those on for the next year. There's all kinds of suggestions we're looking at. There's so many needs and so little money, but we're also looking for suggestions of what we can do, what we can help out, and we're trying to look at those as well, what we can do to help people out. It was the previous council session where we did do a moratorium on evictions for both residents and for commercial buildings, and also on payments on those as well. So we passed that for a 6-month period where there isn't evictions on residential, there's not evictions on commercial, and there's also a relief that they don't have to make those payments. Of course, they're going to have to make those sometime, and that's the problem too, is where if they don't make it, then also you get those landlords and those commercial building owners as far as needing assistance to get them through that time. We're looking at all kinds of other suggestions, what we can do to help out, whether or not it be the citizens, the businesses, anyone like that. If there's any other questions offhand. And I'll comment again, and somewhere in the thread, it should be my personal email, or not my personal, but the city email is posted there, and my personal cell phone. And I'm open to suggestions anytime, or people give me a call. If there's something they'd like to talk about, ask, talk about in more depth, please do share with me. And we're continuing to do more of these outreaches. And please let us know, too, what times you think that these are better. If this time works, great. Evenings, during the day. Some of the upcoming ones are, we have Monday, April 27th from 5 to 6. We have a council outreach with Councilor Newton. We have Friday, May 8th from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. council outreach with Councilor Newton and myself. Is that budget, or is that just...
Great opportunity to talk about the budget.
It's an opportunity to talk a budget on that one.
And the next one.
And then we have Thursday, May 14th from 6 to 7. We have a council outreach with Counselor Newton and Counselor Lube. And then we have Sunday, May 17th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. council outreach with Counselor Anderson and myself. And of course, any of these ones too can be talked about. Any other topic. It doesn't have to be budget. It doesn't have to be levy. Anything we're open to talk about.
What is the RAF program?
Someone asked, what is the RAF program? It's the Residential Aid Fund of Tigard. And so it opened last Monday and went through Friday. And it was for nonprofits, faith-based organizations, government agencies, or service districts. And some of the areas that it was going to focus on was for child care, food assistance, fuel assistance, hotel vouchers, internet access, medical transport, PPE, sanitizing supplies, shelter services, support for safe parking programs, house support priority, benefit negative, food assistance, internet. So there's a lot. So it was going to go towards a lot of the nonprofits or people that right now might be displaced that need hotel vouchers, help with internet for food, a lot of those areas. So the application process is closed now, and I think we had 12 different agencies that applied for that, and I think the city allocated $100,000 to go to those programs. So that's something that with the application process closed, and hopefully we can get those funds out quickly, and some of those agencies can help out. I know we have a lot of great nonprofits in the area that are doing great wonders. Someone else asked what the community could do, if people are able to, making donations to those nonprofits. And I don't know if we have a list of those or not that we can post as from the city, but we can post a list of what the nonprofits are in the area that are helping people that may be in those needs. That's going to be the best way really for, someone asked what can be done for the population that's either disabled or underfunded or elderly, things like that, is really direct them to those nonprofits, and a lot of this money we gave can help those people out with rent assistance or needs as well. And we had Connie says, thank you for the City of Tigard for being so present this time with all you're doing. Thank you, Connie. We're trying to do our best to be out here, be involved, being visible, being seen, and again, we're all in this together, so anything we can do, we're here for you as a city. And we have about 5 more minutes. With Facebook Live, we have about an hour, and then it cuts us off. So we have kind of a hard stop. But any other questions people have, go ahead and please type them in there. Again, we posted a council email address there. If people have any questions at all going on in the city, any concerns, anything you'd like to see done in the city, please send in the council email. That goes to the mayor, all the council, city manager. It's a great way to get that out there. And this video is something will be on the city's social media, so it can be replayed anytime. It'll be on YouTube. It can be shared to other people. So please let people know that we're doing this. We're being involved. If you feel like there should be more of these, please let us know. If there's less, let us know. But we're trying to do as much as we can to get out there, answer questions, be involved. But please, people, check out the budget process, especially since it's going to be a lot more involved being digital this way. Jump on there, check out the budget process. And again, I remind people to please, support local businesses any way you can, whether you're not buying a gift card, using DoorDash, do something like that. A lot of businesses I talk to are just they're skeleton crews. They're just trying to pay the rent. They're just trying to do what they can to get by and stay open until everything works. Corinne says, appreciate everything City Council and staff are doing. Thank you, Corinne. We're trying to do the best we can. The question is, what restaurants are open downtown? There's a lot open downtown Tigard. There's 2 dry cleaners that are open. There's a Beach Hut Deli, there's Symposium Coffee, Bailey's Burgers, Senate Board Game on I think Friday through Sunday. They're open as well for takeout food. There's a Thai Delicious restaurant. Trying to think out who else there is. Yeah, Beach Hut. There's the sushi place next to Beach Hut. There's the across from the U.S. Bank, there's a Mexican food place that's open. There's also other businesses. There's a Sherry Jewelers box. There's a chiropractic services open downtown Tigard as well. And the city has a link, I think, and Kent will post that. There's a link of what we have as far as the businesses are open. If people look at that and we missed a business, please let us know. And if there's a business on there listed that's not open, please let us know as well. But it's something too is that it's a great way to get out there. What I've been trying to do is, at least if I go out and get a cup of coffee, or if I go to a restaurant, I try to take a picture of it and share it on social media so people know that who's open, who's not open. I think that's a great way to spread the word for people to know who's out there and what's going on. But our business owners, I've heard people say that you always go to the business owners ask to support your Little League, support an event, support a charity, support an event. Now's our time to support all those businesses out there and take care of them. Another one is D'Angelo's Catering is doing on Wednesdays. You can do a drive-through pickup on pickup meals for your family for the week. That's something. Pasta's meal. There's a meal every week. He's got a little store set up. Tiger Liquor Store is open as well. There's a lot of businesses open on downtown Tigard. If you drive from one side to the other side, there's a lot of foot traffic on the Heritage Trail. People walking the Fountain Creek Trail, stopping in, getting a cup of coffee, and keep going on. Is there a question?
Any news about the library, when it might reopen?
Any news about the library, when it may reopen? That's something that the biggest thing with the library is people checking out books and how long the coronavirus can stay on an object. That's the biggest concern right now is with people checking books out or turning them back in, or a place where people are touching, whether it be computers or anything like that. So that one, we don't really have a time frame when it's going to reopen or what's going to go on. I know a lot of people have been asking about that. You can still go on to online to the library and check out books, digital books. So there's still a way at least to access that. I've heard that you can pull into the library parking lot and access the library Wi-Fi. So that Kent White told me yes, that is. So if you do need to access internet and don't have it, and City Hall, or you can walk and sit on a bench or sit next to it. There's benches both outside City Hall, or there's benches outside the library. So if you do need to have access to internet service, you can either drive to the library or City Hall, or sit outside there to use the free Wi-Fi. And Corinne says, please continue these events. We'll continue these. Please let us know any times that work better for people, any other topics we should do, anything else we should do as well. I have about 2 minutes before Facebook Live shuts me off. Again, please reach out to me or the city, either to council mail or my city email or my cell phone. If there's any questions, anything you feel like we should do. And the biggest thing is please submit your personal stories of what's going on, maybe things that are working for you, but definitely if there's areas that aren't working that we need to work on, those personal stories help us as a city with our state legislators, our federal legislators, different organizations to really fight for getting those employment benefits going, for money to residents, to get money for small businesses. If we don't hear about it, we don't know what needs to be addressed or how to take care of it, and the stories really make a difference. So I think that's about it. So thank you, everyone. Be safe. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. And we're all into this together, and have a great day.